seems odd doing this, but hey, let's call this meeting to order and make it official. Say we're really getting something done. Let's spend a couple hours knocking the essentials out and sharing the good things that's going on. So first and foremost, if we can, just a quick housekeeping deal. We're all used to these Zoom meetings. Let's stay muted if we can. For the most part of the meeting, if you have a question, put it in the chat group. I don't know how everyone is set up, but most of the time it'll just pop up on the side of your screen. Everybody can see what's going on. We'll use that for any questions and comments. We'll get to those as quick as we can. Another odd thing about the voting, we will have some voting issues at the end of the meeting. And one of those is the ability to accept votes electronically. Well, it's kind of a chicken and an egg situation at this point. We need to be able to do that to make this work effectively. So if it's all right with you all to say, yes, we're going to vote later on for this ability to do the electronic meeting, and for the actual votes themselves, when we get to that point, there'll be a little poll pop up on your screen. There you go. All you have to do is yes, no, or abstain. Click your little button, please. And that's how the vote will work. Simple as that. And then we've got Adam and in like a hamster in a cage, and Emily as well, getting everything taken care of. First and foremost, Adam has pulled all this together and worked his magic. A big thanks to Adam. Emily, we're going to introduce her as well, but just getting everything, making all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. It's a lot to do, but I've said it in board meetings. I've said it to people. I'll say it in the public forum. I would not have this president's position if Adam was not the executive director. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that Adam handles, and I'm very appreciative, and he deserves all the credit for this. Then we have, I want to make sure everybody got their emails as well. If you haven't, dig through your email and find it, that has the agenda, the notes, the minutes, strategic plan, all that kind of stuff. Basically, we had to tweak it a little bit to make this electronic forum work. So we will have voting at the end of the meeting. So what we'll do is we will keep everybody in the group. Welcome to the meeting, all of our cohorts. Then at the end of the meeting, we'll take, or midway, basically, we'll take a little break. Let everyone that is not signed up to be a member for 2021 go ahead and log off, because at that point, we'll go over our voting issues and stuff. If you have not signed up, because I'm guilty of last week, we were in a meeting and JB said, there's a few people that haven't signed up and there's a link, and I immediately went and did it. That way I could kind of point the finger at someone else, but it was me. But I know there are still several folks that are out there that are on this call that have not actually filled out their application. Adam just popped that up in the chat group or in the chat box, and it's a simple form. It 3 questions, maybe 4, whatever. It really didn't take just a minute, but that will give you voting rights at the end and the access to the end of this call. Right, Adam? Thumbs up? We're good shape?
Correct.
All right.
And just a reminder that dues payment is not actually due until June 1st. It's the registration of application that we need to have in, guys.
Yes, thank you. And then this Emily that I keep referring to is our new Emily Rose Burke. She is the new digital marketing specialist. that we brought on board back in November, right before our strategic planning meeting. And she comes from the hotel tourism industry. So she's got a lot of good insight, a lot of good thoughts and experience in the kind of the flip side of the coin. But she's done a lot of e-commerce work and everything. She'll be leading our marketing initiatives section of this meeting. Emily, you want to say hey?
Hey, sorry, we're working with having both computers and the sound and everything, but yeah, I'm really excited to be here. And I definitely had, I've always like valued tourism marketing, so it's been really exciting to do the kind of wine side. I'm used to doing the room nights and, you know, the hotel world. So this has been really, really fun, and working with Adam has been great. So definitely, yeah, excited to be here.
Welcome, Emily. We're glad to have you. And I think that's all of our housekeeping, and we can just run on down the agenda. Let's see, JD, are you? Oh, we're not Go Chiefs anymore. Bless him. We've got the reading and approval of the minutes from last year, the last time that we saw each other in person. You got it, JD?
Yeah, everybody should have a copy of it in front of them. So I'm just going to kind of hit the high points. Basically, it was called to order. The meeting was called to order. Obviously, we were in Cool Springs, Marriott Franklin, 9:15 Central Time. We passed the meetings out. They were approved from 19. Basically, an executive director recap. There's a bunch on there. Executive director recap, PowerPoint presentation by Adam, and I guess Adam has that available if anybody wants to see that. Based on the 2019 Harvest and Crush survey, we printed about 40,000 brochures, put in 6 wine festivals, digital marketing websites, and even ads buying for social media, things of that nature. Enrichment programs were kicked off, so we did some workshops. Development of self-fulfillment satellite facility pass greater than 50,000 gallons. The $1,000 privilege tax was abolished. Tennessee Grape and Wine Board was created. We were looking for strategic partners in 19. Big year for building partnerships. Also opened up the communication with the MTSU and science fermentation program. Strategic planning, 3-year planning development exists. Backboard and of the 2018 where we met. Industry membership, 70C. Increased revenue and added engagement over the 3 years. Industry membership up 75%. $10,000 corporate membership, consumer branding. That's where we partnered with Tennessee Tech website and things of that nature, and increasing the educational workforce. Digital education resource creation, YouTube channel, educational things. Marketing promotions, general awareness. Treasurer's report was presented by JB. It was handed out and it was passed, approved. Tennessee Grape and Wine Board update was presented by Keith Harrison. The appointments from the governor came in December. They had just met a couple weeks. Last couple of weeks, Dr. Hatcher calling the meeting to order. Commissioner of Ag, or his designee, Keith Harrison, the Commissioner of Tourism. Tennessee wine producers appointed by the governor, Bill Sanderson, a grape and fruit producer appointed by the governor, Kerry Cox, a person of higher education and fermentation background or viticulture appointed by the governor, Tony Johnson, Dr. Tony Johnson of MTSU. 2 members are involved in the aspect of wine industry in the state with production, marketing, sales, journalism, and education, appointed by the governor, Kix Brooks, Rick Riddle. Adam gave an overview of that. Chairman of that was Bill Sanderson. Vice chair is Rick Riddle. Membership dues discussed and voted, presented by Rhonda and JB. The decrease in dues, 6 tiers, 5% decrease in the top 5 tiers, 10% decrease in the top 5 tiers. The goal is to get the funding of the festivals, et cetera, to get away from people paying membership dues. 2020 budget was discussed and voted on. Legislative update presented by Kerry, basically funding and approval by the governor of the 300,000 first year, then 150 next. Looking forward to get a continuing funding stream going forward with the legislative and the Grape and Wine Board. As winery, we pay 15% liquor by the drink tax where distilleries do not. That was some of the things we talked about. Direct shippers in Tennessee. Then there was a festival update by Adam. And then we did the executive director's 2020 vision. That was by Adam as well. How to get more money in the organization, Grape and Wine Task Force, wine trails, cost of growing grapes, labor, reliable workforce, growing the industry, so forth and so on. Then we had nominations for a Middle Tennessee rep. That was presented by Rhonda. Joey's name popped up there and was elected. New business, just a reminder, we're able to attend quarterly education meetings via Zoom. Just reach out to Adam for a link. Corporate memberships, and then the meeting was adjourned. Any questions, comments, criticisms, or jokes? Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. I think it's awesome, JD. Thank you so much. We actually do not have an electronic poll for this one, but I do need approval to for last year's minutes. So if we can get an approval via silence, if there's any objection, please type them in the chat. If not, we're going to assume that, and I hate that, assume that that's an okay. We're going to go roll with it. So no objections, which is perfect. Love you guys for it. Thanks, JD. Appreciate all your hard work. I really appreciate all your hard work, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because sensitive issue for me, JD. JD has, I guess, one more set of minutes to prepare, and then he's handing it off. Exactly. So we really appreciate your time and dedication, and I'm not going to let you get away with just like bailing on us. So don't worry. I have plans for you, JD. Okay, Adam, you're up. We're going to get an executive director's report. Adam's put together a great presentation, and he's full of the answers. So if you got questions, put them in and we'll try and address them as we go.
All right, guys, good morning. Hopefully everyone can see my screen perfectly. And as Rhonda mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to just type them into the chat. Emily will throw something at me and let me know that I have a question to respond to. So we're going to kick off kind of a snapshot of data points that we collected from this year's 2020 Harvest and Crush Survey. Kind of gives us a glimpse of what the size of the industry is looking like as of the end of 2020. We've seen a lot of wineries kind of actually open their doors and shut their doors in 2020 for various reasons, COVID related, retirement, some legal issues. Overall, we do have a net loss of one winery year to date. So we're at 69 licensed wineries, and this is based off of the TABC's state licensing, not the TTB's federal licensing. There are quite a few more federally licensed wineries in Tennessee that don't have state licenses. We've seen 3 new tasting rooms open up during COVID this past year. There have been satellite locations, and just at the first quarter of 2021, we've actually had another tasting room open up down Horseshoe Bend Farms down near Joey. But we do have 78 tasting rooms operating in the state. Some cool data points that I picked up from TABC. We're currently looking at 13 wineries that have self-distribution licenses. That means there are 13 wineries able to self-distribute to any on-premise location within 100 miles of their production facility. Yep. Back that up. We've got 16 wineries listed with wholesaler contracts. We're estimating somewhere around 485,651 gallons produced in 2020, with currently TTB reporting 207,000 gallons between Q1 and Q3. Obviously, the bulk of production we're going to see come in Q4 after harvest happens. These are just estimates. I've had to extrapolate the data points from the harvest and crush survey. It's really, really important that I get as many data points as possible to get a clear look at what the industry size is. If we assume that this 485 is correct, that's about 120,000 gallons less than our 2019 production levels. Again, this is just assumptions based off the data points I have. So the wine gallonage, this is actually a production volume by tier breakdown. This is actually, again, looking at 2019 numbers, not 2020. I don't have enough data points currently to give a true representation of what the industry should be. Hopefully after you guys submit the rest of our membership applications coming in the next few months, I should have a better snapshot of what the industry actually looks like. All right. Continue on with the harvest and crush survey. This is based off of 277.6 tons reporting from 23 different growers. These we're seeing grape varietals by pound, and this is just a quick snapshot of what was actually harvested this past year. It should be noted that harvest was down for most vineyards across the state. Not surprising, we're seeing a large chunk of muscadine being harvested, Chamberson, bronze, bronze. What else do we have on here? And again, these data points are only as accurate as participation in my surveys that I have. Next slide we're going to look at. This looks at the Vineyard Challenges. We saw an average of about 66% of the average crop loss across the state. The largest cause of that being frost damage. That late frost we had in April really did a number on some vineyards. Some vineyards were actually reporting up to a 90% loss of crop. Some are reporting none. So there's a wide variation. The kind of the good and the bad news of the frost damage means it's kind of an uncontrollable Mother Nature effect. So it's not that we're doing anything wrong in the vineyard. We just had Mother Nature play us a bad card this past year. The next slide. This is a snapshot of what the wineries are actually working with by collective volume percentage reported in the Harvest and Crush survey. Again, the more data points I have, the more accurate this picture is going to be. But we can see out of the, it's not listed on here, we had 16 wineries reporting gallonage, sorry, make that 20 wineries reporting gallonage, and this is just by bulk production volume. Obviously, Concord seems to be the largest variety going into fermentation this past year with Muscadine and Niagara. There is a good mix of product on here, and if you do want to delve into what's less than 1%, let me know and I can pull the data points for you. But it's, most of the stuff is getting really small in terms of, and this is both sourced wine as well as what we harvested in Tennessee. This is just what the wineries are actually working with. All right, the next snapshot we're going to look at, why not Tennessee fruit? The largest reason for wineries not utilizing Tennessee fruit is I could not find a Tennessee source. Not necessarily that we don't grow it here, just they couldn't find it. So we need to find a way to continue to connect growers and producers. The Grape and Wine Marketplace that's on TennesseeWines.com is a great resource to post this on. It's free. And it's kind of like Craigslist for the wine industry. If you haven't been to TennesseeWines.com, go to the industry tab and marketplace, and you can post there for free. We have not had much utilization of it during 2020. Really, the last post was in 2019. So I'm going to make a concerted effort to try to get more participation from growers and wineries, what you're looking for, what you have available, both in juice, wine, whether it be employment, equipment. Let's try to utilize that resource. We also plan on educating new and existing growers a little more on the varieties and volumes needed by the producer. We started this with a set of new grower workshops last year, but we're going to continue it as we look at these actual data points. We can tell growers from a educated standpoint what we're actually looking for, what varieties wineries are actually looking for, which is great. And as I mentioned, the Harvest and Crush survey, if you have not taken it, please hold your phone up to that QR code and take a snapshot, or you can copy that URL. Again, the more data points, the more accurate we have of a snapshot of the industry, the more true of a representation when we have discussions with the Wine and Grape Board or state legislators or Department of Ag. Really, the more accurate data I have, the better able I am to represent you and actually figure out where our holes are and try to make a plan to move forward. So please, if you have not done so, copy that survey. It's still active and open. Take it tonight. You're going to need to have some information regarding pounds harvested or gallonage produced, different varieties. All of the data is 100% anonymous. It's just aggregated into one big sum.
Adam, I'm gonna hop in here just real quick and stress that the importance of doing the Harvest and Crush survey. You know, even, I mean, we had 15, 16 at the time you did the slideshow, 15 or 16 that had reported. You know, it's okay to go in and report that nothing happened, but we need to know that nothing happened. Those numbers, like Adam mentioned, are critical for our legislative issues, our grant proposals, just across the board, knowing what's going on. We can't really fix the potholes if we don't know they exist. So help us out on that. Even if you don't have a lot to report, every little bit is important.
All right. Moving on, membership report for this year. Obviously, the big change in 2020 was COVID. The board had decided to suspend or make dues optional for 2020 based off of what wineries and vineyards felt they could actually afford. The report you're looking at, you see a significant decrease, but this is just represented by paid membership. So while we extended communication benefits and marketing benefits and one-on-one contacts with every member of the industry, regardless of if they paid or not. So we're just looking at the skewed of paid membership. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I am keeping an eye on that. All right. So what has TFWA been up to over the past year? And while festivals and in-person meetings went away during COVID, the board and staff never really stopped working. The big call to action was for disseminating information became a top priority for us, especially in the early weeks of the pandemic. The second priority was focused on securing funding for the industry and then the association. Through constant talks with TDA and tourism, our lobbyists, Wine America, and we found some relief in the CAFB funding, and potentially more relief is going to be coming forward in the Restaurant Recovery Act that we're currently working on a national level. Winery tasting rooms will be included in that package. Education has been in the back of our minds, and in September, Crown Winery, in partnership with Dyersburg State and Vesta kicked off the first registered apprenticeship program. Currently, Rocky Top Wine Trail and Arrington are in discussion with Pellissippi and Dyersburg, as well as Vesta, to hopefully launch some of their employees into the registered apprenticeship program this summer. And then finally, as 2021 initially started, we kicked off a getting into the grape and wine industry workshops in conjunction with the Center for Profitable Ag, UT Extension, TDA, and we had about 90 farmers come out to the 5 workshops that we did across the state. And we talked about opportunities and pitfalls about getting into the industry. And since then, we've actually had a few of those farmers begin their vineyards. We had some of those new farmers participate in last year's annual conference, and we have a few participating in actually in this call right now. So Arrington, just note from Arrington, Arrington has 2 employees in the Vesta program currently. Fantastic. You look at these numbers in red right here. So we're talking about communication being a big thing for the start of, for all of last year, but especially with the start of COVID. We sent out 16 COVID-19 specific updates to the industry. Industry special updates on additional programming, funding, resource outlines, about 12 individual updates regarding that. In addition to our monthly newsletters, we did conduct 7 happy hours in the first 5 months of the pandemic. And thank you guys for joining. We had up to, I think, 16 people at one point in time from all across the state talking about what they were doing to kind of get through the challenge that we were facing. Thank you, big thank you to the Department of Ag, Keith and his team with securing CARES Act money through CAFB. 30 wineries across the state received funding up to $2.1 million of CARES money came in through the CAFB program. We worked with Wine America on their 4-year endeavor to get into the Craft Beverage Modernization Tax Act permanently installed, which was due to expire last year, and then due to expire again this year after the extension. But that saves $1 per gallon, up to $1 per gallon on federal excise tax. We're continuing to support the Wine and Grape Board as they work on a quality lab assurance program and funding for that. We secured new grant funding for the TFWA, around $250,000 in VAPG money for marketing over the next 3 years, which is why Emily's here. We have another outstanding specialty crop block funding of $50,000 that is for an event specialist that obviously with COVID, we've kind of put a pause on that, but we're hoping in the summer to bring on a events and a sponsorship specialist to come onto the association. We're exploring new revenue sources. We launched a exploratory program with utwines.com. It is an alumni UTIA program that is raising funds for a viticulture endowment program at UT, as well as funds for TFWA. And we talked about this at the last annual meeting, but if this program works, we'll be able to hopefully offer it to multiple wineries per year to participate in this program, where each winery may make a specific product that is then sold. And if you haven't been to utwines.com, I highly suggest you check it out. We have been selling so far. I've raised about close to $12,000 in the past 2.5 months the program's been running. Again, started the registered apprenticeship program and our new grower education classes. So we have been very busy, even though we haven't had festivals and in-person events going on. This is in addition to the normal conversations with strategic partners and looking forward to what we're going to do and planning our next 3 years. We must never forget that the TFWA's main purpose is really to serve as a united voice for the state and local levels. Our focus as an association has always been legislative issues. And these are just a few of the successes we've had over the past few years. We constantly, I guess, have questions about why be a part of TFWA. And really, here's a great outline. These going back to 2001, without these legislative pushes that TFWA really kind of championed and supported through lobbyist efforts and grassroots and helping finance political campaigns, we would not have achieved any of these goals over the past few years. And I tried to look at the positive stuff. We're not looking at anything that these are all the gains we've made. Probably about 60 to 70% of what we do is actually defensive. We are constantly trying to make sure we don't get more restrictive regulations placed on our industry, whether it be direct to consumer, production, but these are vital elements of what TFWA does. And I encourage each of you guys to take a brief look at the list, and if you're utilizing this, that means your business model is working because TFWA has been working for you. Back in November, you guys do have a handout with our new 3-year strategic goal, but back in November, the board met for a 2-day retreat over at Rhonda's location. And we kind of talked about what we've achieved over the past 3 years, because our initial 3-year goal was up this year, and where we're looking to go in the next few years. So we've broken it down into 4 main objectives: business and economic development, setting milestones that I think are easily achievable in the next 24 to 36 months. But we're looking at increasing revenue for self-sufficiency, and as always, finding new revenue models, and we're exploring whether that UT wine program works and other programs like that. If it does work, we can do something like that with MTSU School of Fermentation Sciences as well. We're exploring organizational structures to improve funding options. As a 501c6, we're limited to the ways in which we can raise funds. However, as we continue to expand into education, research, both with universities and other organizations like Vesta, we can look at a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is just worried about raising funds for education, which I think is a great option. We've also started conversations about forming a PAC to handle legislative initiatives. Continue to increase educated workforce. Now that we've got the registered apprenticeship going, the next step is to get an AS degree going. And both Dyersburg and Pellissippi are in talks with us to expand on the registered apprenticeship program to actually have an AS degree in viticulture and enology in the next few years. Again, hoping to expand the registered apprenticeship program, digital education resources as we expand our TennesseeWines.com resource library. Education and research, improve industry engagement and encourage unity. So this is a big thing for us. The board, when Rhonda came in, and JD and JB and Bart, communication and engagement has been a constant sounding from them. And hopefully, once COVID goes away, we can go back to in-person events. But until then, we're going to continue to try to build up on virtual social events and virtual educational sessions. And we'd like to see the committees get reinvigorated. The membership committee, the education committee, actually have active participation to kind of drive us forward into the next 3 years. We're looking at viticulture knowledge support, workshops, ag extension, viticultural boot camps, as well as the Wine and Grape Board's lab quality analysis program, according to that. Marketing promotion, wine tourism market expansion. This is probably one of the biggest things, I guess, biggest pluses that we've had and best good news that we had come in the end of 2020 is that securing of the APG funding, which is going to enable us to do all these fun marketing initiatives. And Emily's going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. We're also looking at expanding on members' benefits by digital footprint audits, working on incentivized social boosts for member wineries, trying to find a way to support wine trails a little more actively. And then you've already seen, as Emily's taken over the newsletter, some best practice pointers coming out in terms of marketing in those newsletters. So if you're not taking a look at those, take a look at them. There's some great suggestions on there. And then legislative initiatives. We're going to be working to securing a strong support in both the House and the Senate. Yeager's been a great champion for us in the Senate. Unfortunately, we lost a great champion for us in the House when Sanderson stepped down from his position to worry about his home operation, which is great. But we need to kind of refoster a new champion in the House. Also getting a little more active in our grassroots campaigns and having every member of the organization maybe have a coffee or a lunch with their local representatives to really start to get to know them. Because if they don't know you exist, when you try to ask for something, it doesn't work. And then we're going to work on, with our lobbyists and our legislative committee, building a multi-year legislative outline. So we're not just randomly going for things from year to year, but we actually have a structured plan on what we want to see accomplished over the next 3 to 5 years. All right, and I'm going to stop talking for a little bit, and I'm going to let Emily talk.
Hello. As I mentioned earlier, I came from the hotel tourism kind of side of things. So especially particularly when coming into wineries, I kind of walked into can you press the next slide? A really unique issue with awareness. I didn't really experience that so much. Most people were aware of our hotels, and so this has been a new challenge for me, but it's been kind of fun to try and take a different approach and do the trickle up method. So instead of, what a lot of marketing is trickle down, we're going to go the opposite way and start with consumer awareness. So by increasing that consumer base through increasing our social media presence, a big part of this that I'll talk about in a second is going to be cross promotion, putting money into our actual advertisements, like the boosting social media posts and things like that will help to increase our follower base, and then we can start to promote you guys. That will lead to, well, the goal is for that to lead to financial success in the industry, and with more wineries crossing that 10,000 gallon mark, and then that will lead to more viticulture research and less restrictions, and hopefully the goal is more grower interest so that we can get more of those grapes that you guys are needing and increase the Tennessee wines overall. Currently our social media numbers are we are at 522 for Instagram and 2410 for Facebook. That has increased since I even made these slides. We do have a 200% increase goal for Instagram because our number was so low. We were at a pretty decent standing on Facebook, so we've just got a standard 25% increase. We've already at about 60% increase on Instagram, and I think we're at like 15% increase on Facebook. So we're already seeing a lot just within these first few months. And as we start to see some better sort of engagement on these platforms, we will look into moving to the next step for us right now is Pinterest. We will start looking into other platforms. Okay, and how are we going to do this? We're going to use bright, inviting imagery. As I mentioned earlier, cross promotion is really important. Here's a quote from a marketing page that I like to follow that says it's called cross promotion, and believe it or not, it's actually one of your most effective ways to grow your following. So this means that I want to see cross promotion not only in your wine trails, which is like a very tangible marketing, but from digital marketing, it's following each other, following Tennessee wines. A lot of our members don't even follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We share your stuff pretty much every single day, share our stuff as well. As we do this, we start to grow the number of people who know about Tennessee wines. So a good example is I reach out to influencers pretty often within the Tennessee world, like food bloggers and things like that. Anyone who's interested in wine, just a couple of people, and let them know like, hey, I've taken over the Tennessee Wines account. We're trying to grow our awareness. We might want to work with you at some point. And then I always say like, did you know that there are over 70 wineries in Tennessee? And they're always like, no, I knew there were 4 or 5, but I didn't know there were 7. So, we do have some awareness to work on. So cross promotion is really important in that. So it would be really wonderful if you can if you're doing your marketing, that you can engage with our fellow association members and the association ourselves. And if you have somebody doing your marketing, please send them to me, let me engage with them, and also have them follow additional wineries. Website redesign is something that I immediately came into. It had already conversations had already started. We are in so we've gone through the entire design phase and we are in the production phase. So we're really excited to launch that for you guys. The industry side was made to be a much cleaner and easier to utilize, especially the marketplace that Adam was talking about earlier. And we'll show you kind of a quick snapshot of that soon. Winery and website audits were okay. Winery and website audits are going to be something that we're going to roll out within this 2021 and 2022, where if you guys are needing your website to be reviewed, then I can go through and give you suggestions and, review just simple SEO things like your typeface usage, your photograph usage, keywords, and things like that can help you within the Google search as well. We are going to be doing video production as well, so that will be really helpful. And video is just booming. It is the number one thing. I mean, we're using video right now, so photos are no longer really the key way to sell a business anymore. People want a quick view into it, the whole, snapshot. So we're really excited about video production. I do have a friend of mine who is a phenomenal, very sought after wedding photographer who's agreed to do it for us. So he's going to be going to each location and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So yeah, sure. Okay, so the numbers of followers, in case you guys don't know, that's what this is on Instagram. The number that we were at was 339 followers. Now we're at 525 followers, and we want 1,015 followers by the end of the year. I actually think we'll be over that. That's my hope. But we've got a 200% increase goal. And then with Facebook, it's the same thing. It's likes, it's page likes. So we were at 2373 page likes. Now we're around 2,500 page likes, just to explain what those numbers mean to you guys. Okay, so digital marketing spend, we're increasing our digital marketing spend a ton in comparison to where we were before. Obviously bringing me on was part of that. And then I've got about a $1,600 budget. And so I have kind of broken that down into social media ad spend. We're going to be just under 3,000 over 12 months. It is spread out so that on months that are the more not as slow months, the faster paced months, those will have additional. The faster paced months will have additional funds going towards them. For Google ad placement, we're going to be spending just about $2,100 over 12 months. So that the same thing on months that are faster paced, there's going to be more funds going towards that. For the influencer promotion, I did set aside about $1,200 over 12 months, just so that we can utilize if we need to do product buy, if they need things like that, or also just if they have a specific, if they're really worthwhile, influencer that has a really good following and engagement in Tennessee, then we can put money towards that as well. This funding is all from the VAPG grant money. The videography is, we've got a $7,000 to cover 60-second promotions for each location, and then one longer agricultural promo as well. For content creation, there's $2,400 over 12 months. That is including things like my Adobe and Canva and different sites that I utilize because I do a lot of my own content creation, but there is additional for purchasing things like stock photography, and maybe if we need to bring somebody in for something specific, that we can do that as well. So that gives about a $500 buffer to use for additional things that may come up. This is for the year one, and we will have similar funding for each year afterwards. Okay, so our video plans, as I mentioned before, video content is key for marketing your location. It is prioritized also by social sites. That means that Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and other sites that are coming online, they do push video content to the top because they do see that it increases engagements. And we do need to remember that all social sites are a business, whether or not they're free for us to use or not. So they're going to, and Google is the same way. I talk about this a lot when talking to people about SEO. They're going to prioritize what keeps people on their site the longest, whether it's on your page or someone else's page. So we want, if they're going to be spending their time on social media, we want them to be on our page as much as we can. So that means increasing our video content. So as I mentioned, I have a good friend who has agreed to go out to all these wineries. He's also going to be a great resource for all of y'all, especially if you have do weddings on property, then being able to contact him for any potential needs for weddings moving forwards, that you have a fuller package to give to your clients. Yes, 60-second videos for all locations, every winery and vineyard will just get like a 60-second run through that they can utilize, and we can as well. So I'm partnering with local videographer, and then 60-second edited promo videos of each location with one longer agricultural marketing presentation that we can use to encourage the viticulture and the viticulture research across Tennessee. So this is just the quick snapshots into the websites. This is going to be the consumer facing side. I wish I could give you an even longer look into it. It is very, very detailed. We've been working on it for a really long time. I'm really excited for you guys to see it. It is going to be a scrollable, whereas ours currently is kind of a static page. So that helps to keep our consumer base engaged with the website because it does move through as a pace where you're not clicking to enter into other pages as often. And then we do have we're going to have an interactive map with other things like that on the consumer facing. And then this is the industry side. As we mentioned earlier, the advocate, educate, communicate, we're going to really push that. This is a very quick snapshot. It does not show you everything, but as you can see, these 3 photos, there's about 9 of them, and those will be clickable, and they will lead to things like the marketplace and the board and all of those things that you're used to seeing, but in just an easier and cleaner way, so that it's easier for you guys as well. So that's a quick overview of the marketing expectations. I did see a couple of questions pop in just for me directly. I think I answered them all, but if you do have any more, please go ahead and pop them in the chat. I know marketing is kind of a huge thing that I tried to stick into a couple of minutes. So let me know if you have any questions, and always feel free to reach out to me over email as well.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, for everyone, if you have not had your social media or your marketing person, or if that's you, reach out to Emily. I highly encourage you to. I'd sent an introductory email out when she first came on, and she's the one sending out the newsletter to you every month. And you've noticed quite a change in aesthetics, I'm sure. And I'm also really excited about this new website. We're going to have 2 very distinctive sites built out, one for the consumers and one for the industry side of things. And it's a fairly robust site. So we're hoping to see that come online in March is the goal. So festivals and events, and I've been getting tons of questions about festivals and events. Obviously, COVID has put a damper on 2020 and a question mark on 2021, and honestly a question mark on all of our festivals and events moving forward. So what do I mean by that? Right now, we currently have our SIP Tennessee events that are on the books for June 5th in Chattanooga and June 13th in Nashville. As of last week, we are still a go for our Chattanooga event on June 5th. Nashville is also the most likely going to happen on November 13th. So we are a positive outlook on that. September, so our Gatlinburg Wine Festival is typically held in May. After talking with the Gatlinburg Convention and Visitors Bureau, they do not feel comfortable hosting that event in May. The only other option right now is September. I had sent out a poll that I think I had 3 responses on about doing an event, and everyone's feelings regarding doing an event in September. We've typically tried to shy away from festival events in September and October due to harvest and crush happening. But if there's enough of an interest and we can get at least, 13, 14 wineries on board, we'll look at doing our Gatlinburg event in September. I know we have a rod run, I think, the weekend of September 10th. So hopefully it's not the same weekend. We don't look at that same weekend. It would not be at the Aramont School for the Arts like it has been in the past. It would actually be inside the convention center. So it's a very different experience than we typically have in Gatlinburg. But the convention center and the Visitors Bureau have kind of merged staffs and resources over the past year. And it is a lot more profitable event if they hold it in the convention center. So again, this is tentative. We are hoping against hope. And as long as things keep going the way they are in terms of COVID and activation and vaccines, we're good to go on June 5th. If something crazy happens, who knows? We're all being cautiously optimistic though. And I'll be sending a sign out sheet for festivals this week for everyone to sign up. Why not Gatlinburg in October was just asked. So October was not offered to me by the Gatlinburg Visitors Bureau. They have open availability in September is it. So it's kind of based on our partners. Regarding what's going to happen with all of our other festivals, I don't know. There's been some changeover at the staff in Jackson, who are our partners. There's been some changeover at Mount Juliet Chamber of Commerce, who've been our partners for Toasted Tennessee for years. Toasted Tennessee does not currently feel comfortable with doing an event. Mount Juliet Chamber does not feel comfortable with doing an event right now. So until they're comfortable with that one's just up in the air. It is completely possible that come 2022, we have to reinvent all of the wine festivals that we want to host. So that maybe an expansion of SIPTN into Memphis and Knoxville, or a larger hospitality and tourism event at some point that kind of replaced Toasted Tennessee. But we're still working through that right now. In addition to our festivals, I mentioned we're going to try to continue with educational elements. In March, we're going to kick off a virtual lunch and learn series. We'll send out registrations. It'll be via Zoom, designed to go over your lunch break. Each session will be 45 to 60 minutes long, a little bit of a presentation, a little bit of Q&A, and you're encouraged to bring a glass of wine or just sit down and have a good time. But we're going to cover a wide variety of topics. Dr. Lockwood's going to kick us off March 16th on weed and grass control in the vineyard. We've got Sonoma State University with State of the Industry, looking at the impact of COVID across the board in both DTC and retail. We've got the Digest of Wine and Spirits Law coming to talk about expanding DTC shipping beyond Tennessee and what some of each states, what you have to look for as you expand out. There's a hole right there. I just got off the phone with the DTC workshop last week, and they're going to offer a class on something regarding tasting room and training. We're kind of working through that right now. We're going to try a YouTube live video in June about summer pruning and thinning of the vines. Scott Laboratories is going to do a presentation on sparkling wine production in July. FedEx is going to expand into shipping both domestic as well as looking at international deployment. And then September and October, we're still working through our topics, but we're very happy with the lineup we have so far for the virtual lunch and learns. I am also going to kick off the happy hours in March as well. And those will be a monthly social hour that usually take place around 7, 8 o'clock at night. They're casual conversations for everyone to just kind of talk about best practices. I am sure Keith Harrison with TDA is looking forward to those starting back up. He was at every single one. But we're definitely going to bring the happy hours back by request. All right, before I jump into the legislative updates, any questions on anything that's come up so far? Festivals, marketing questions? You guys have been pretty good about entering the chats, but all right. All right, legislative updates. So it has been an interesting few months. Obviously, with COVID, there's been huge impacts onto access to legislators, committees for both our lobbyists and us over the past few months. So things definitely have not been flowing as they normally would. Initially, when this session started, we were planning on just playing defense, and we are still playing defense, but we're also going to play a little bit of offense this year. Something we're keeping an eye on is SB 705 and HB 742. There was a bill introduced that initially is designated to just bar wine shipments direct to consumers through fulfillment centers and warehouses located both in and out of Tennessee. Fulfillment houses are logistics warehouses that just handle the shipping and logistics for your product. There are not that many wineries that I'm aware of in Tennessee that are utilizing fulfillment houses. However, there's some other expanded language in that bill that, after consulting with our legal counsel, may be concerning for us. One of the things is a possibly prohibits wine shipments from coming from not only a fulfillment center, but a single warehouse. So if you have multiple wineries or multiple brands, but you're fulfilling everything from a single location, this bill may not let you do that. So it's also stating that the wine must ship from a location that is the product is actually produced from and fermented at. So there's questions on whether, if you have your production house on one area and that's where your bonded area is, but you're shipping from another place on your property, or you're shipping from another place off site, if you're going to get caught up in this. We're also extremely concerned about what this is going to do for anyone utilizing custom crush, both farm winery operations and wineries that are contracting with other wineries for production. Because the way the bill is worded, it's requiring the wine to ship from the place of production where it's actually produced, or it has to be produced under an existing exclusive contract. So as more farm wineries come on, there's concern that the farm winery may not be able to contract with a winery to ship their product. There's also concern that bulk wine that is brought in is not considered produced. So if you bring in bulk wine to either offset your existing product lineup, or to blend into a wine that you are fermenting, but you're blending another other fermented wine into it, that those individual products may not be able to ship to Tennessee wineries. So there's some points of concern that our lobbyists and our lawyer have noted that we're trying to chase down. We have joined a coalition that involve freethegrapes.com, the Wine Institute, Wine America, Jack Daniels, and numerous other organizations that are opposed to this legislation being pushed forward. So it is something we are keeping an eye on, and we've definitely have some concerns about. Are there any comments on this bill? We will have some formal talking points going out either tonight or by the latest by Thursday. And there are certain members that we may ask, certain members of the association we may ask you to reach out to your legislator as this progresses forward. So again, initially we're just going to play defense this year, but we are playing some offense as well. We were not going to put originally pushed SB 1544 forward, but we had a lot of interest from Senator Yeager to see it move forward. Hold on, that question. Kip, does anyone know anything support for the wholesale? Does anyone know anything support for the wholesale bill? Give me questions. Yes, needs. Does the bill have support? So, Kip, right now it is being pushed by the bill is being pushed by the wholesalers. Obviously, they're the ones that got the representatives to introduce it, and I think it has some support from the retail association, but not immense support from all retailers, because certain retailers are actually utilizing fulfillment houses to bring in vintage and or rare products that their customers may want. So I think the bigger challenge is for years and years, the wholesalers have been able to support legislators through PAC funding and help support their campaigns, which we've just not been able to compete with. So I will say too, I've never seen a bill get so much national wine coverage. It's been at least 4 or 5 different national trade magazines for the wine industry have talked about the Tennessee shipping law. So there are definitely, yes, all the trades are covering. Yep. And I've got a call later on today with all the directors from across the country. And I was asked to talk about it by Wine America, because this is definitely something every state wants to see go away. There are only currently 2 other states that have somewhat similar bills to this fulfillment shipment bill, Kentucky and Oklahoma, and Kentucky's in the process of having it repealed this year. So it's not a helpful bill, just the courts limiting consumer access. And really as DTC being the primary revenue source for most of our wineries, anything that may limit and inhibit DTC growth is just a bad bill, in my opinion. And Kip, if you're volunteering to say a few words, we may tap into you to reach out to a few people as well. And again, the talking points should be ready in the next 2 days or so. Anyway, back to what we are pushing forward. So we copied this first bill language from Washington. Washington State actually has a nonprofit association bill, and we kind of copied the language. This allows any nonprofit association that supports the grape and wine industry. So it's not just TFWA. It could be the Appalachian Regional Wine Producers. If a wine trail has 10 or more winery members and has the nonprofit status, they could apply for this. This allows the nonprofit association to sample, taste, and sell member winery products at both wine festivals we put on, as well as special occasion events. So think any tourism conference, think any food and wine festival like the Downtown Music City Food and Wine Fest, or Wine on the River, that typically down in Chattanooga that we typically don't have multiple wineries participating at because they can't sell. This would allow the association to set up a single 20 by 20 space or however big space and sample multiple wines from multiple wineries across the state. So it's just giving us the ability to promote you guys at events that you can't make it to. Simple as that. Prime example too, if we do a Gatlinburg Wine Festival, it may not make financial sense for Crown Winery or Century Farm Winery to drive over from West Tennessee. This would enable the TFWA to actually set up a tasting booth and showcase their wines. So again, we're just looking to try to find a way to continue to showcase you guys at events that you cannot be at. This has got support both in the House and in the Senate. We've got Senator Yeager that is championing it in the Senate, and Representative Farmer did not introduce the bill, but is going to take over as championing it in the House. So we're feeling really good about this so far. There may be slight opposition to this from the retailers or wholesalers like normal, but that's the only thing we imagine might go against us on this one. The second bill that is being pushed was kind of a random shot in the dark, is SB 1611. This was brought to the attention of the Speaker of the House by Stonehouse Winery, as they're in his district. They reached out regarding the current winery shipment caps that we have. Currently, we are able to ship no more than 1 case per month to an individual within Tennessee, and no more than 3 cases per year to an individual within Tennessee. This is not in keeping with any of our surrounding states. And it's very confusing to be able to ship 1 case a month, but not 12 cases a year. So we are pushing forward with support of the Speaker of the House, as well as Senator Bailey, carrying it in the Senate. This will expand your capabilities for direct shipment into Tennessee wine consumers. So hopefully if it passes, you can do up to 2 cases a month and up to 24 cases a year. So for those of you that operate wine clubs, I know we run into some challenges with quarterly case shipments. This will allow you to do monthly case shipments if you so desire, which will be a great income stream for you guys. Any questions on what we are pushing? Again, we'll have positive talking points and why we're pushing both of these coming out to you sometime in the next week or so. We tentatively have SB 1544 going before the Senate committee on March 2nd. That may change, and I'll get a final calendar update from our lobbyists this week. And our lobbyists did apologize for not being able to make the call today, but obviously it's Tuesday, which means session's going on, and there are tons of things going on the Hill right now. All right, any other questions regarding legislative initiatives? All right, I'm gonna be quiet again for a minute. Now I'm gonna let Bill Sanderson speak on behalf of the wine.
There we go. Can you hear me now? All right, wonderful. Thank you, Adam. Great job. I want to thank Commissioner Hatcher first, Keith Harrison and Rachel Sullivan. They do a great job with assisting this board. This board was created not to do the same things that TFWA and Adam do. We were created to be a liaison from this industry to essentially the Department of Ag or the governor. And so our agenda is different. We're not dealing with the day-to-day operations like Adam is. And so we have a completely different purpose. And we got off to a great start. We met the first time in Ellington. We thought everything was just going to be smooth as could be. And then the COVID thing hit. And so unfortunately, we've had to meet by Zoom. And so that somewhat ties our hands. And so hopefully real soon we'll get back to meeting at Ellington and we can deal with things face to face. For all you guys that don't know, we were established by the legislature in 2019. We were funded with $300,000. We thought that'd be a great start. We were additional money of 150 was budgeted in the 2020 budget, and again COVID hit and they took that back. And so we hope to be able to retain additional funds as needed. The board's comprised of 7 members. 5 are appointed by the governor. 1 is from the Department of Ag, and 1 is from tourism. And the Commissioner Hatcher meets with us regularly, and he encourages this board to make Tennessee a premier wine state. And he does support the industry, and we're excited to have a commissioner that does support the industry. And again, we are the liaison from the industry to our state government. The purpose of the board, just for all those who don't know, we're trying to increase the number of the wineries, improve the quality of Tennessee wine, and promote Tennessee's wine and viticulture industry. And to do that, we've actually moved forward. We've got a contractual agreement with MTSU. Dr. Tony Johnson, he's a professional of fermentation science. He is going to establish a viticulture lab to test the samples of the product that we all as wineries produce. Now that's something that many states already do. And some of us guys are already sending product to other labs in other states. And so we felt that that was important, that we increase the quality of the wine. And to do that, we need to have the opportunity to have someone test the samples and also to be able to give that information back to us. And as members of this association, that is going to be a free service, or it's going to be a discounted service. And so the equipment has been purchased, it's been installed, and he is hopeful that that'll be up and operational next month. Also, with the contractual agreement with the UT Institute of Agriculture, Dr. Alicia Rim, she is a professor of agriculture economics. They are in the process of conducting a preference survey, and that survey will be to evaluate the consumer's desire for potential markets. Now, as all wineries, we all think we know, and we also think that we know what the consumer actually wants, their preference, but in reality, we don't have that actual data. Now, I'm talking about product that might be on the grocery store shelf or in a package store. We don't know how we compete against and with the California wineries and the European wineries. And so hopefully this study will give us the information that we need to know how we can compete better on a bigger market. I'm excited about both of these contracts with MTSU and UT, and I'm excited to see that we can provide that information to you guys. Adam mentioned the Coronavirus Agriculture and Forestry Relief Bill, the CAFB, and he mentioned 31 wineries did get some money, about $2.1 million, and that's going to be a big help, and that was administered through the Department of Ag. Of course, we thought we were going to have some budget restrictions, or the state was going to have budget restrictions, and so we're having to look at maybe as we need, trying to acquire some additional funding or continuing funding for this board. And as the purposes of the board were defined, increase the number of the wineries, improve the quality of the wine, promote Tennessee's wine. We also have one other goal: implement and maintain a wholesale rebate program for Tennessee wines. That would be for us to have our wine in the three-tier system, and not that many wineries are involved in the three-tier system, but I think other states have done it well. And to do that, we think that a wholesale rebate program would be an incentive for the wholesalers to actually stock our product and move our product and actually get our product placed on shelves. And I think that we will see from the example of other states, they grew the volume of wine produced by many of the wineries entering the three-tier system. And so I hope that's something we can get moving forward with in the next few years. And Adam, that's about it. I know you gave me 5 minutes. I may have gone over. But again, thank you guys. And many of you have been on our meetings, and I appreciate you guys doing that. And good to see you, Jonathan, and you guys from down there in Gatlinburg. And thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Moving along with updates. I know it's just Kyle on here. I think Keith Harrison, Commissioner Keith Harrison, wanted to say a few words if Keith is on.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay, sir?
Yes, we can, sir.
All right. I appreciate it, Adam. I just wanted to say how much I've enjoyed your meeting thus far this morning. It really fires me up to hear the great things that this organization is doing. Our relationship at the department with the wine industry, I think, is as good as we've ever seen it. And we want to see it prosper. Commissioner Hatcher is behind your industry, and he's directed us to help you in any way we can. And we want to make sure you know that. And yes, Adam, I'll do my best to be on your happy hour calls again when you have them. I always enjoyed them a lot, and keeping up with what was going in the industry. Second thing I wanted to say is what an honor it is to have the chance to serve with Bill Sanderson, Rick Riddle, and others on the Grape and Wine Board and as commissioners designee. That board is doing some really, really good things that complements the industry. And we've been handicapped through COVID-19, but they've come together, worked together, and I'm just really glad to see that board continue to flourish. And there's going to be some good things that happen. And the most important thing I want to do today is to introduce a fellow team member of mine, Kyle Hensley. Kyle Hensley is passionate about all of the different organizations and the businesses that he works with as a business consultant at the department. And I'm telling you, Kyle gets out there, looks for opportunities in the wine industry, and is truly your advocate. And I'd like for him now to go over the many programs that he's got going on there at the department in the wine business, and just say to you guys how much we appreciate Kyle and how much we appreciate you guys and your support of our programs at the department. Kyle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. Like Keith said, my name is Kyle Hensley, business development consultant with the department. I think I know most of the folks on the call, but if we haven't met, haven't had a chance to talk, we certainly want to try to schedule that in the near future. I'm going to run down just kind of a list of some stuff that's going on with the department. We've already talked about several different things. Just to add to what Mr. Sanderson said about the Wine and Grape Board, it is open meetings. The next meeting is scheduled for March the 10th at 10 a.m. Central Time. So if anybody wants to join us, you're more than welcome to join, jump in on those phone calls and listen in. And if you want that information, let me know, and I can share the information. I can share with you the information to log in. Got a few different things want to run over and talk about. I want to start with one of the things that we're really, really excited about at the department. I hope everybody saw last Friday's email about the refreshed logo that we've rolled out through the Pick Tennessee Products program. If you saw that email and you read through what we had written, you were super excited about it. It took over a year of really diligent work to make sure we got it right. This was not something done lightly. I know that many people really utilize that logo, and anytime you change it, you're asking folks to update different things that they're already utilizing it. So we didn't take it lightly, but we're really excited about it. Hopefully you've all seen it. It's keeping up with many of the elements that were in the previous logos. We've added the TriStar. Obviously the TriStar logo is so incredibly popular in the state of Tennessee right now. And when we were looking at it, we wanted that logo to be, when somebody looks at it, they instantly recognize that it's from the state of Tennessee. And that TriStar logo really makes it stick out from anything else that other states can try to do. There are two different treatments to it. You might have seen that there's a more vertical and a more horizontal one. In one of them, the TriStar is bigger, and the other one, the barn is bigger. But we think that the different versions will allow folks to kind of really utilize it on their packaging, on labels, on signage, on social media, wherever you want to boast that you're a Tennessee product and that you're made in Tennessee. We hope you utilize it on there. And I think that it's something that all of the industries that we work with, everybody from the farmers markets to the wineries to the breweries, everybody can be really proud to put that logo and have it associated with their business. I know many of you guys are on the Pick Tennessee Products program. If you're not, please reach out to me, and we can certainly send you the application. It's an absolutely free marketing platform. There's a lot of good that comes with it. I put my email address in the chat there. So if you have questions, you want to talk about it more, if you need access to the new logos, we can make sure you get that. If you want to learn more about the program and why you should join it, we can have that conversation as well. Just reach out to me. One of the silver linings to COVID-19 is, and I know a lot of you folks have seen this, is the renewed focus in buying local. And we've seen that at the state level through the Pick Tennessee Products program. We have seen a massive engagement with that platform, both on the website as well as our social media through all of COVID-19. And so we really pivoted, and some of you all had your businesses featured on that platform. We really pivoted to use that to promote, to get Tennesseans to buy local. Emily mentioned earlier about cross promotion and the opportunities to share, and social media is so influential in consumer preferences. And so anytime you all have an opportunity to share what TFWA and Tennessee Wines is putting out, if there's an opportunity for us to help share something on our Pick Tennessee Products platform, let us know. We really want to help spread the word about that. One more note, just another point of pride on the new logo that we have developed. It was done almost entirely internal. And so at a time when state budget is really difficult because of COVID-19 and there were a lot of cuts made, we were able to do this almost entirely internal. So really at no true additional cost to the department or to Tennessee taxpayers. So we're super, super proud and excited about that. Pivoting a little bit, Mr. Sanderson mentioned and Adam mentioned the CAFB fund, the coronavirus relief program that we did. It has been, many of you all have had side conversations with. It has not been as easy and as simple as we really hoped for it to be, but we still are really excited about doing a lot of good. The reason, and I know many of you I've talked to about this, the reason that it has been so difficult is at the end of the day, it's a federal program, right? It was Federal CARES Act money that was funneled through the governor's office and then onto this program to be developed. And when we first started, we told everybody, hey, tell us how your business has been disrupted. Tell us how your business has been hurt, and we're going to do our best to help you. Literally through the process, the federal guidance really narrowed down, and our partners, Horn, who many of you all have had a conversation with, have been given very specific guidance that they have to look for in order to approve this. And so it's made it incredibly difficult. And if you're a business that struggled through that or had difficulty through that or didn't get all of your allocation, we are incredibly sorry. And we apologize that it was so difficult. But again, it's done a lot of good. We're getting about $2 million into the hand of Tennessee wineries. So if you're still working through that process, please reach out to me and let me know. We are trying to finish some things up by the end of February. We would like for the business disruption category to kind of be figured out. So we just have a few more days through that. To this point, we have given out about close to $30 million of the $55 million that was originally allocated for this program. So we're getting closer to that number every single day. The question has come up quite a bit. What happens to money that isn't spent? That's going to be up to the governor's office. So we're just kind of waiting for instructions and directions from him. Is it going to be pulled back for another program? Are they going to come out and tell us to do something else with it? We're not really sure. But as information and more about that comes out, I would imagine in the next few weeks, we'll be sure to share that with everybody. But again, $30 million paid out to this program. To this point, we hope to have all $55 million spent. But again, we're doing a lot of good, and we're really, really excited about that. I got three more just real quick brief things I want to talk about just to make sure everybody's aware of resources that we have at the Department of Agriculture that can possibly help this industry. The first one is TAEP, Tennessee Ag Enhancement Program. If you file a Schedule F, if you've got, grow your own grapes, then you're going to be eligible for this. Just for a brief overview for those who don't know, TAEP is for our how we help farmers directly. It's for on-farm and long-term investments. We consider long-term anything that can be used over 5 years. There's a couple different categories that are really, really specific to this industry. Both of them are in what's called Application B, or producer diversification. There's the fruit and vegetable section as well as the value-added section. Between those sections, we can help offset the cost of everything from cold storage, trellis materials, pest control, bird nets. There's winemaking equipment, all of these different things that we can work with. That program is done annually with the application period in October. So if you have not done it before, you want to go ahead and start thinking about projects for 2022. And then that October timeframe, you'll apply to help get cost share dollars for your 2022 projects. There's an entire team of folks who live, eat, breathe, sleep TAEP every single day. And I'm not going to try to be claim to be as knowledgeable about the program as they are. But if you have questions about TAEP, if you're unfamiliar with it, unfamiliar with how it can work in your business, reach out to me, let me know. I'll answer the questions that I can. And then I'm going to get you in touch with the folks in the TAEP room who really can dig into the details with you. For those who are familiar with the program, we're super excited about what it's done, where it's been. Since 2005, over $185 million has been invested in Tennessee agriculture through the TAEP program. And we did a study with UT not that long ago and to show the economic impact of that. For every dollar we invest in TAEP, over $6 in economic impact is felt in the local agricultural economy. So it's a really worthwhile program. It's got the support of Governor Lee. If you pay attention to his state of the state and his proposed budget, there's even more money for TAEP in the future. So we appreciate his support for Tennessee agriculture and for the TAEP program. And so we're very, very excited about that. Other funding program, and a few of you on the call have had conversations about this or have applied for this program. It's the Ag Enterprise Fund. If TAEP is for on-farm investments, think of the Ag Enterprise Fund as not on-farm investments. It's for our agribusinesses. The underlying theme behind the Ag Enterprise Fund is investing in businesses that are having an impact on the local agricultural economy. So think if you are a winery and you buy fruit from Tennessee fruit producers, and you're going to complete a project and you need to increase your capacity. By you increasing your capacity, you're going to buy even more from Tennessee farmers, right? So that's the type of projects that we're looking for. So if you're thinking about funding opportunities through the state, if it's a project that's really going to only impact you, it might not be a good fit. But if you're going to be able to show an impact to multiple businesses or multiple farmers, it's definitely something we want to have a conversation with you about. That program was the casualty of COVID-19 and the budget issues that we faced last year at the state. But we're very optimistic about this coming fiscal year, which will begin in July, having more funds for that program. And we really want to see it, we're really optimistic about seeing that program funded and more opportunities, because the impact on that is really, really big. In a normal world, we review those applications quarterly, and it's project-based, right? It's not necessarily for working capital, but more of I'm going to increase capacity, I'm going to expand my business, and I'm looking for funds for that. We definitely want to have an opportunity to have a conversation about that. The last thing I want to touch on really briefly, international marketing opportunities. So one of my coworkers, Whitney Flatt, hopefully some of you guys know Whitney. She works with all of our industries at the state level on international marketing opportunities. If that's something you are interested in trying to crack into, Whitney has resources to help. Whitney works very closely with SUSTA. It's the Southern United States Trade Association. It covers it's a USDA program, covers the entire Southeast U.S. And through that, there are just an incredible number of resources and opportunities to explore international markets, whether you just are trying to find information, whether it's cost share, whether you want to go abroad, or we actually have an opportunity coming up the week of October 25th this year, where we're going to host what's called an inbound trade mission. We're actually going to host buyers from the European market to come in and who are interested in wine, beer, and spirits from the state of Tennessee. So if you want to participate in that, reach out to me, let me know, and we'll be sure to get you on the docket. That's about all I have to cover. I see JB's got a question. Have any dates been released for A opportunities? Not yet. We need a better kind of picture of what that's going to look like. And a lot of that's going to come with the passing of a budget for this year. Once we get a better picture of what our opportunities are going to look like, we'll set out a schedule for the next fiscal year. I don't expect us to have any review periods until at least July, unless something pops up where we have an opportunity that's not foreseen right now. But I would not expect to have any review periods until July at the earliest. Any other questions about what we're doing at TDA? Any of the programs I mentioned? More than happy to try to answer those now. If there's no other questions, Adam was going to chime in. I was just going to say, I really do appreciate the opportunity. I really enjoy, I always tell people I have the most fun industries to work in. For those that don't know, I work in all craft alcohol. So wineries, breweries, and distilleries, and you all know how to have a good time. As Keith mentioned, the chats that we're participating in last summer, it was so uplifting to hear the conversation and hear, how businesses, even in a time of just a really rough time, the willingness to continue and to pivot and to keep going, and it's inspiring to us to get to work with this industry. So if we don't know each other, reach out, let's have a phone call. I'd love to come visit in the not too distant future. One of my favorite things is visiting wineries, so be happy to do that as well.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. Keith, thank you very much. As Keith mentioned, I mean, our relationship with TDA has been fantastic, and they're continuing to show their support for the growth of the industry. It is 11:34, guys. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Run to the bathroom, get a drink, whatever you need to do. If you are not a registered member of the association, we're also going to ask that you sign off at this time. If you intend to register as a member, feel free to use that link right there. But we're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll be back at 11:40. I'm going to leave everything up. We'll go over financials and voting issues and all that fun stuff. But yeah, and unfortunately, I have no elevator music, so you're going to have to make your own music while you wait.